I need to tell you something that might save you $100,000 and 4 years of your life. I'm 24 years old. I make $125,000 as a software engineer. I have zero student loan debt. And the way I got here is not the path that guidance counselors, parents, or teachers will tell you to take. I started at community college, transferred to a state university, worked part-time throughout the entire thing, and the total cost was less than $20,000. It's the same degree as people who spend over $100,000, same career outcomes, but I'm not buried in debt. Before you think this is another college is a scam video, it's not. College works for some people, for some careers, and in some situations. But if you're watching this and you're about to take on $50,000, $100,000 or more in debt for a degree you're not even sure you even want, I need you to pause and look at your options. Because here's what nobody tells you. There are paths to 70 to 100,000 plus careers that don't require a 4-year university. And there are ways to get a college degree for a fraction of what most people pay. So let me tell you what's actually available, what the real costs and outcomes look like, and how to think strategically about this decision instead of just following the default path. Let's start with what you're actually signing up for when you go straight to a 4-year university. The average cost of a bachelor's degree at a public university is $104,000. Over the 4 years, at a private university, it can be $223,000. That's tuition, room board, books, fees, everything. Most people don't just pay that up front. They take out loans. Average student loan debt is $37,000, but plenty of people graduate with $80,000, $100,000, or even more. And at a 6% interest rate over 10 years, a $37,000 loan is going to cost you well over $50,000 total. That's over $13,000 in pure interest. And most people will take 20 plus years to pay that off. Now let's look at the return on investment. The average starting salary for college graduates is $55,000. If you spend $104,000 to get a job paying $55,000 and you're competing with people who took a different path that cost way less and have the exact same degree, that is a terrible investment. This is what I did. And it's the single smartest financial decision I've probably made in my entire life. If you know you need a 4-year degree for your career, this is how to do it without going broke. Spend your first 2 years at a community college. Take the general education requirements, some core requirements for your major. These are the exact same classes you'll take at a university anyways. Your basic Englishes, math, basic science, but they cost 75% less than at university. The average community college tuition is $3,800 per year. Compare that to $26,000 per year at a public university or $56,000 at a private school. After 2 years, you transfer to a 4-year university to finish your major. You get the same diploma as everyone who spent 4 years there, same career options, same alumni network, but you paid half the cost. And I worked part-time through all of this. You can work at retail, restaurants, or whatever would give you more flexible hours. I lived at home to save on room and board. I bought used textbooks when I could, or you get them online when available. And the total cost for my bachelor's degree in computer science was less than $20,000. I paid for it as I went through school and graduated with zero debt. Some of my friends who went straight to 4-year schools graduated with over $80,000 in debt. We have the same degree. We make the same amount of money. Actually, sometimes I make a little bit more depending on who you're asking, but now they're paying over $500 a month in student loans and I'm not. That $500 per month difference, that's what lets me invest aggressively in my 20s and build a $250,000 net worth by the time I'm 24. They can't do that because half of their income or a portion of their income goes straight to loan payments. If you need a degree, go this route. It's the same destination for half the price. Now, if you're one of the people that do not want to go to college at all, let's talk about what nobody discusses in high school or tells students about high-paying careers that don't require a 4-year degree. These aren't any fallback options. These are legitimate careers where people make 60 to 100,000 plus per year without any student loan debt. Many of these careers are in higher demand than college degree jobs, and they aren't going to be automated or outsourced anytime soon. First is the obvious one, and it's the skilled trades. It's an overlooked goldmine by most. For example, the path of being an electrician. You go to trade school, you do an apprenticeship, takes about 4 to 5 years total. Most of it is paid for, and your starting salary is going to be around $55,000. When you're experienced, you can easily get to $75,000 to $100,000 a year. And if you own your own business after a few years, you can even go over $100,000 to $150,000 plus annually. And the best thing about that is that you're not going to automate electrical work. You can't outsource it to another country. Every building needs electrical systems installed and maintained. The demand is massive and is still growing. There's also HVAC technicians. Can be as little as like a 2-year investment, very low starting costs, the starting salary around $50,000. And when you're experienced, you can easily be pulling 60 to 85,000 a year plus. When you own your own business, 80 to 120,000 a year plus. HVAC is only becoming more critical. Every building needs heating and cooling. Many HVAC companies will pay for your training if you commit to working for them, obviously, and can be a completely viable path. Plumbing, starting you can make $40 to $50,000. Experience you can make $60 to $90,000, and if you own your own plumbing business, you can easily pull over $100,000 a year because everyone needs plumbing. It's dirty work sometimes, but it pays extremely well, and you're never without work. Now, this is something that is a completely in-demand trade and is honestly one of the highest paying trades. It's elevator, escalator, installer, and repairs. You go through an apprenticeship and it's paid for. Starting, you make 50 to 60, but once you become experienced, you can easily pull over $100,000 a year. And on average, they make over $100,000 a year. This is one of the highest paying trades. It's complex work. It's very in high demand, and a lot of union jobs with great benefits. Almost guaranteed retirement too, in a set amount of years. There's construction and specialized labor like crane, lift operators, which you can easily pull from $60,000 to $100,000 a year plus, depending on location. There's carpenter, masons, or just general construction like labor workers. This can go pretty low to from like $45,000 a year starting, but when you're experienced, you can easily pull over $75,000 a year. And if you're in a specialized field, you can actually pull over $90,000 a year. There are solar panel installers, which can pay around $50,000, but once you become experienced, you can make over $75,000. Solar installations are growing rapidly year over year, and this is honestly a very booming industry, and I can see this going even further. Now, if you don't want to go into any of these trade school categories, that is completely fine too, because trade school isn't the only option out there. There's even bartending. I would only recommend this if you are in a major city. And obviously, you're not just going to be able to start as a bartender right off the back. You do need training and you do need knowledge about the field. But you can become very well versed in as little as a month to a few months. And if you work at a place and scale yourself up as like a bar back and then eventually become a bartender, this is a completely viable option too. And in cities like New York City, Miami, LA, good bartenders are pulling over $80,000 a year with tips. Now, if you want a shorter training program compared to trade school and you don't want to do the bartending path, that is completely okay. There are still healthcare options. You can become a personal care aide or a home health aide, and you can learn in as little as 6 months and be fully trained, make $40,000 a year. Yes, it's not the most highest paying, but there's still massive demand and job security. Or you can become an LPN, in which you are a licensed practitioner nurse, and this can be as little as 12 months, but you can easily make $90,000 a year as an LPN. And if you want, you can become an RN if you want to bridge that connection later, and can be even a cheaper option than just going into a 4-year university to get a nursing degree. Now, the average salary is around $60,000, but if you want to put in overtime, or if once you gain more experience, or if you actually hold multiple jobs and leverage yourself through that, or even work through an agency, you can easily pull over $90,000. There's people in my family that are pulling over $100,000, obviously in major cities, and even some that travel for work and they make over $90,000 in other cities. Now, we are not done yet because we also have truck drivers, which you go to get a CDL license. Many companies will actually pay you for the training for this too. You start off around $55,000. Experience, you can easily be pulling $60,000 to $80,000. But I understand long haul truck driving isn't for everyone. You're always away from home, but there are regional routes that you can do or specialized truck training like oversized loads or hazmat. Those pay very well on top of this. Now, there are actually a lot of creative fields in this too. You don't need to go to school to get an arts degree. You don't need to go to school to get a graphic designing degree. One of the ones that I think is probably the most viable right now because of demand is YouTube video editing. It's completely self-taught. You can learn literally from cheap courses or completely free here on YouTube. And the income can range from $40,000 to $100,000 plus a year. Obviously, it depends on clients and volume, and it is high demand, and you can work remotely, build a client base over time, and you can start by editing for smaller YouTubers, build a portfolio, and move to bigger clients. This career field does have a lot of freedom. There's a lot of flexibility, but you have to have a lot of self-discipline in order to meet strict deadlines, make sure to balance ongoing clients with revisions from past clients, be able to handle feedback, be able to price yourself properly, market yourself properly, and be constantly updated with trends and unique editing styles that are popular in the industry currently. I know some people that didn't go to college at all, started video editing when they were teenagers, built and joined communities, started selling their own products like preset packs, guides, and or bundles, and are now making over $100,000 a year, and they have complete control and freedom of their field. The pattern here is that most of these take 6 months to a few years just to learn. The costs are extremely low compared to college, and you can easily be making $40,000 to $100,000 a year plus, depending on the field, location, and industry. You're going to have no student loan debt, a stable career, and many of these can't be automated or outsourced, or haven't at least been yet. Before I dive into careers that require college, I need to show you the data that supports getting a degree for the right careers. According to the most research from Georgetown Center on Education and the Workforce and Data from 2024, bachelor degree holders can earn over $1.2 million over their lifetime compared to people with just a high school diploma. That is median lifetime earnings of over $2.8 million for bachelor degree holders versus a $1.7 million for high school graduates. That's a 75% earning boost over your career. And it's not just about the money. Bachelor degree holders are half as likely to be unemployed, and the unemployment rate for college graduates is just under 3%. While it's significantly higher for those with just a high school diploma. But here's the critical part. This advantage only applies if you're strategic about which degree you get and how much you pay for it. For example, a $100,000 degree in a low demand field that leads to a $40,000 a year job destroys this advantage. But if you get a $30,000 degree and go the community college route, go into a high demand field like nursing or even mechanical engineering, that leads to a $70,000 a year plus job. That's where the 75% lifetime boost actually materializes. The degree matters, the cost matters, the career path matters, which is why I'm about to show you which college careers are actually worth going into. These careers require licensing or advanced degrees, and there's no alternative path, but they also pay really well and enough to justify the investment. And the careers where that $1.2 million lifetime advantage actually shows up. And these are growing in in-demand fields as of 2025. And I think that will be continuing to grow and will be in demand past this current decade. Obviously, right now, we have the number one highest ROI, healthcare. An RN or a registered nurse can cost you as little as $20,000, maybe even less, depending on the route, and your starting salary can easily be around $75,000. If you're experienced, you can easily scale to over $100,000. If you're a travel nurse, you can easily be over $100,000, like well over $100,000. And in my area, some registered nurses are leaving school with $96,000 offers. And if you want to continue this path and get a master's degree and become a nurse practitioner, you can easily make over $100,000 to $130,000 a year plus. There's also physician assistants, which also requires a master's degree, but you will easily be pulling in $100,000 a year. There's radiology tech or MRI techs, and you can easily be pulling around $60,000 to $85,000 plus a year. There's occupational therapists or physical therapy. This you will need like a doctoral degree, but your salary again will be over $100,000 a year. There's speech and language pathologists that can be around $95,000 a year. There's respiratory therapy, which is around $75,000 a year, which is not required to have a master's or doctoral degree. There's medical lab technologist, which is another bachelor's degree one, where you can pull around $75,000. And then there's also a biomedical equipment technician, which can be like a 2-year degree program, and your salary will fluctuate around $50,000 to $75,000. And healthcare is consistently the best ROI for college degrees. Constantly aging population means demand growth keeps growing. Your job will never be automated or outsourced. And many of these roles can actually be started with an associate's degree or an accelerated learning path. Now let's talk about engineering degrees. There's mechanical engineering, which requires a bachelor's. And if you're starting, you can make around $75,000. There's electrical or grid engineers. They can make around $80,000. Renewable engineers or project engineers, the starting salary is around $65,000 to $80,000. And all of these, once experienced after a few years, will easily pull over $100,000 a year plus. All of these degrees require bachelor's. There's no way around it, but if you go to community college for 2 years first, then transfer, you cut the cost to getting these degrees in half. Now, I know some of you want to know how to actually make the decision. What do I want to go? What do I want to do? And if you're trying to figure out which path makes sense, here's the framework. Step 1, first you have to know your career goal. What do you actually want to do? Not something that just sounds prestigious, not what your parents want. What interests you the most? If you don't know, I wouldn't just pick one at random. Take the time, maybe explore some of these fields, talk to people in these fields, research, watch videos on them, or even just trying different things. Figure out what you want first before you just pick one. Many college students actually go to college and then end up changing their major. And if you are going to end up doing this, and you probably know that you're going to be one of the people that do this, go to community college to do that. I even did that since I was actually mainly going for finance, and then I switched over to computer science later. Check which one requires a degree, check which one doesn't require a degree. Some of the options I listed don't require one at all. Some of them require an associate's, some of them are accelerated learning paths, some of them you just need to get a training or an apprenticeship or a CDL even. Look at all the careers I just listed. Does your target career require a 4-year degree? Can you get through there with just trade school, an apprenticeship, or a shorter program even? And if it doesn't require a degree, you don't need to get one. Save yourself the money and the time, especially if there's no ROI on it. If you do need a degree, find the cheapest path possible. Community college for 2 years, then transfer to finish your bachelor's cuts the cost in half immediately, while getting the exact same degree as your peers. Look for in-state public universities, not out-of-state or private schools, unless you're getting significant scholarships from them. Consider living at home if possible. Commute to school. I did that my entire time. Room and board will cost you over $12,000 to $18,000 per year, which will equate to around $50,000 to $70,000 over 4 years just for housing alone. Now I'm going to help you calculate the ROI on this. What is the total cost of education versus the expected started salary and also the career trajectory? If you're spending $100,000 to make just $40,000, that's a terrible investment. But if you're spending $30,000 or $20,000 to make over $70,000, that's a good one. And step 5, you could always work while you're in school. I worked 30 hours a week throughout college. It sucked, but it meant I graduated debt-free and had work experience employers actually value. Now, some of you guys are curious, what would I do right now if I was 18? If I were making the decision today, here's exactly what I would do. If I wanted to be an electrician, plumber, HVAC tech, or any trade, I'd start an apprenticeship immediately. Get paid to learn. There's no college involved. And by my age, you're making over $75,000 to $80,000 a year with no debt. If I wanted to be a nurse, I'd get my associate's degree at a community college, become an RN, and start working and making over $70,000 to $90,000 a year once I graduate. You can even do your bachelor's degree online while your employer pays for it if you want to advance in one. If I wanted to be an engineer, I'd start at a 2-year community college, transfer to in-state universities, work part-time throughout, graduate, and easily be making over $70,000 a year starting and with having minimal debt. And by my age, you'd be making over $100,000 a year annually. If I wasn't sure at all and I was completely lost, I would probably take a gap semester, not a gap year. Just take one semester off, work a bunch of odd jobs, talk to a bunch of people, research heavily, save money while doing this, try different things, and figure out what I actually want. Then choose the cheapest path to that career and one that has the highest ROI, one that's going to be constantly in demand and one that's future-proofing myself for later technology advancements. And what I wouldn't do is go straight to a 4-year university without a clear plan and take on $80,000 of debt for a degree I'm not even sure about. That is probably the most idiotic thing you can do. And if you are in that path currently, honestly, transfer out and go to community college and cut your losses, because that is something that is going to be a massive regret later in life. And here's why this matters more than ever in 2025. The reality is that we're facing a terrible job market in 2025, and it is truly, truly terrible. There's more unemployed people than available job listings out there. We have tech layoffs, hiring freezes, AI replacing entry-level positions. This makes your college decision even more critical. You can't just get any degree and expect a job anymore. You need to be strategic about careers with actual demand. The trades I mentioned even, they can't be automated. They can't be outsourced. And there's a massive shortage of skilled trade workers, and you'll have job security. Healthcare, we have a constantly aging population, means demand keeps growing. These jobs exist and will continue to always exist. But generic business degrees, communications degrees, marketing degrees, without any specialization or specific skill set, are the ones where new grads are sending out hundreds of applications and hearing nothing in return. Don't spend $100,000 a year on a college that leads to a market with no jobs. And if you're planning to start college soon or choosing a career path, do this first. Research the actual job market for your target career. Look at salary data, job postings, what employers actually want. Is there demand for it? Even search up on Reddit. There's a lot of real world experience out there. Just don't fall into any bubbles, because some of these people are obviously more pessimistic than what the actual market is, or some of them don't match your circumstances. Maybe you have a network, maybe you have connections. Don't let it deter you away from a high paying position. Calculate the total cost, including all of the expenses, not just tuition, but room, board, book fees, opportunity costs of not working, and look at salary outcomes. What do people actually make in this field? How long to pay off the debt? What does their progression look like? You can do this by talking to people in that career. Ask them how they got there, whether they'd recommend the same path today, what they wish they've known before. And I highly recommend you guys consider trade schools and apprenticeships seriously. Don't dismiss them because they're not prestigious. Making $80,000 a year with no debt beats making $55,000 a year with $80,000 in loans, or graduating with no job opportunities available to you. And if you're uncertain about your path, take a gap semester. Work, save money, figure out what you actually want. It's better to just waste a semester or even a year than waste 4 years and $100,000 and doing the wrong thing. The bottom line is that college can be worth it for specific careers. On average, it is actually worth it. Healthcare, engineering jobs that actually require licensing. But even then, you need to minimize those costs by starting at community college or going to a low-cost college in general, or applying for scholarships, grants, or any opportunity that lessens the load of those loans. For many careers, trade, specialized labor, even some healthcare roles, you don't need a 4-year degree at all. You don't even need to go to college. You can make $60,000 to $100,000 a year plus through apprenticeships, shorter programs, and they can have little costs. They are certainly not going to cost the same amount as a degree. The worst decision is going to be going to an expensive university without a clear plan, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you end up with $100,000 in debt with no job prospects. Be strategic, calculate the ROI, choose the path that makes financial sense for your specific career goals, and don't let anyone shame you for choosing a trade over college. Don't let anyone pressure you into debt for a degree that doesn't make any sense. The smartest 18-year-olds I know today are the ones questioning the default path and making strategic decisions based on actual outcomes, not what sounds impressive. So let me know in the comment section down below, what are you considering? Are you actually going to go the college route, the trade school, or something else? I want to hear what you're planning, and I'll give you my honest take. And if you're trying to figure out your career path or working towards financial independence, join the Discord down below. We have people starting from all stages, sharing their experiences and helping each other make smart decisions. If you enjoyed this video or found it valuable, click that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.